Tagiriron, the shadow of identity. Integrated quality, Tiferet, balance and harmony. Tiferet, meaning harmony, is the sixth sephira upon the tree of life and represents the integration of the whole being. It is the heart of the tree, the place where strength and compassion, wisdom and understanding, action and stillness, justice and mercy are brought into harmonious relationship. Rather than identifying with one aspect of ourselves while rejecting another, Tiferet teaches us to consciously embrace the whole. It is through this integration that authenticity naturally emerges. The heart no longer becomes divided between competing identities. Instead, it becomes the place through which consciousness expresses itself with sincerity, love, humility, and love. Tiferet reminds us that wholeness is not achieved through perfection. It is realized through integration. Harmony is not the absence of difference, it is the conscious relationship between differences. The heart becomes the meeting place where every fragmented part gradually remembers that it belongs to one living whole. The shadow, Tagiriron, the shadow of identity. Within the symbolic framework of this book, Tagiriron represents the fragmentation of identity. Where Tiferet rests naturally in authenticity, Tagiriron continually seeks identity through image. The individual gradually constructs a self that can be admired, accepted, respected, feared, or loved. Identity becomes performance. Worth becomes dependent upon perception. Life slowly shifts from authentic expression to maintaining an image. Sometimes the image is success, sometimes spirituality, sometimes intelligence, sometimes suffering, sometimes humility itself. The form changes, the attachment remains. The shadow is not identity. Identity is a necessary function of human life. The shadow arises when we mistake the image we present for who we truly are. The mask gradually becomes more familiar than the face beneath it. Repression and suppression. When Tagirion becomes repressed or suppressed, the individual disconnects from their own authentic identity. Their preferences become uncertain, their desires become secondary, their individuality gradually disappears beneath the expectations of others. Rather than asking, "Who am I?" they continually ask, "Who do I need to become for others to accept me?" Authenticity quietly gives way to adaptation. The individual learns to minimize themselves, to remain unseen, to avoid disappointing others. The true self is not destroyed, it simply becomes hidden beneath years of accommodation. Possession. When Tagirion becomes possessed, the opposite occurs. Identity becomes everything. The individual becomes deeply attached to reputation, recognition, status, influence, image. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce the self they wish others to see. Criticism feels like annihilation. Praise becomes nourishment. Humility quietly disappears beneath performance. Even spirituality can become another identity to protect. The individual no longer expresses themselves, they continually manage themselves. Life becomes theater. The audience gradually replaces the heart. Universal pattern. Tagirion represents the archetypal fragmentation of identity. Consciousness forgets its essential nature and gradually identifies with the image it projects into experience. The reflection becomes mistaken for the self. Collective unconscious. Collectively, Tagirion appears wherever societies reward appearance over authenticity, performance over sincerity, popularity over integrity, and image over character. Entire cultures begin teaching people who they should become instead of encouraging them to discover who they already are. Individual psyche. Within the individual, Tagirion appears through insecurity, people pleasing, perfectionism, pride, shame, comparison, fear of rejection, attachment to identity, and continual construction of self-image. The psyche gradually becomes organized around protecting who it believes it must be instead of discovering who it truly is. The world in daily life Tagiriron becomes visible through our actions. We pretend to know when we do not. We hide mistakes, we seek approval. We compare ourselves. We carefully manage how others perceive us. We sacrifice authenticity to belong. We become defensive when our identity is challenged. Our behavior gradually reveals whether we are expressing ourselves or performing ourselves. Reflection. Spend a few moments reflecting upon your identity. Ask yourself, who am I trying to become? What image do I feel compelled to protect? Where have I abandoned authenticity for acceptance? When do I perform instead of simply being? What criticism affects me most deeply and why? If no one were watching, what would remain unchanged? Who am I beneath every role I play? Recognition is the beginning of authenticity. For only the self that is honestly seen can become fully integrated.